Good morning. This is the JP Dinnell podcast, episode 97. I am JP Dinnell, and as always, I have Lucas with me. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
Life is good, man. I know we had some questions last week we were talking about that we're going to dive into, but then we had a really good discussion just around the impact of Jocko's podcast.
Yep.
And went down a few different paths as we were talking about company culture and how that's important. But I know one of the questions we had that you brought up that we talked about. You want to dive into that one?
Yeah, so this one is kind of exciting to me because, and I almost think that like we need to source this to Joel Anderson as well. And for those of you who haven't listened to one of their early, I mean, it was one of the first 20 episodes, might have been like 16, 17, somewhere in there, about Zero Mark and what they're doing. Is this, will the laws of combat be useful in a world that is becoming more digital? And will the growing use of AI make the laws of combat and extreme ownership obsolete?
You know, I was thinking the fail that I just had is by not having Ryan Vong on this episode to dive into it.
Oh, yeah.
Because he built an AI company.
Yep.
And now he does AI data and all this other stuff.
Another guy from the first 25 or so episodes.
Yeah,
or at least the first 50, yeah.
No, I know. I think it was like the first 10 with Ryan Vong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, he's got a wild story.
Yeah. Yeah, so, okay. Will the laws of combat be useful in a world that is becoming more digital, and will the growing use of AI make the laws of combat and extreme ownership obsolete? No. It will not make them obsolete because there are still human interactions that are going on all the time. I know Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs guy. He just put out something about how
AI is the next dirty job.
No, he was talking about how we have been as a society pushing like, hey, we need all these programmers, we need these blah blah blah, which we do and we have
For sure.
But guess what? We need a lot of plumbers, electricians.
Yeah, we need a lot of tradesmen.
Brick and block, a lot of tradesmen, welders. I have seen a increasing demand on Instagram in my algorithm of people are using social media for recruiting. Hey, we need welders. Here's 100%. Your pay. Here's your per diem. Here's what you're going to make a week.
Yeah, every social media site is all of a sudden becoming LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Smart.
Mm-hmm.
We call that innovate and adapt. Things have been evolving.
I mean, we're all doom scrolling on there anyway. So the video that pops up that's like, hey, we need welders over here. I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what? That's interesting to me now.
Yeah. And I watch that whole video every single time.
Yeah,
you look at that pay and you're like,
right.
Man, I mean, if I need to go back to welding school, if things were to fall
need
apart,
to give me some gloves and a cap.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure. It's funny. I still keep Stanley rolling toolbox. Yeah, that's full of all my tools. If I need to do stuff around the house, but I have like my tool belt, my hammer, my cat's paws, my chalk line, my tape measure. Just all those things, I have that full, and I will never get rid of it because I know that if everything fell apart in my life, I could roll up to a job site and do what my dad used to do when he wanted to get work, and he'd say, let me work for free for the day, and if I work hard enough and do the right thing, you can pay me and I'll come back. If not, you don't have to pay me. Do you think my dad ever did not get paid?
I bet he got paid all the time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Because he's 100%. A hard worker.
I had to look up what a cat's paw was. That's what I was doing.
Very good at what he does.
Yeah.
And so I just remember my dad doing that. And I was always inspired, like as a kid, hearing my dad do that. I'm like, dude, what a badass. Yeah. To be honest. 100%. Like to be able to, and I actually did that when I was working at a company and I wanted another job because it was the summertime. I just was like, cool, I can, and I went to it was a Black Angus steakhouse. And I remember telling like one of the shift leads the same thing. I was like, hey, let me work a shift. And if you guys don't want to pay me, you don't have to, but I will outwork every other person that you have here. And I remember some of the employees were standing there and they're kind of like they took offense to it. And I just remember having that confidence.
Prove me wrong.
I had that confidence knowing like, no, I will outwork you. I will 100% outwork all of you guys. And so I think about that. It's like, I mean, AI is creepy. It's great. You can use it. ChatGPT is a tool. It's a resource. I don't think it's going to slow down. It's only going to grow and evolve and get crazier and weirder and more efficient, more effective. But it will never make the laws of combat and the And just the principle of extreme ownership and our mindsets for victory obsolete, because there will always be humans involved. Maybe there are going to be some companies where it's like only technology, but guess what? A human owns that company. So for that human to be able to sell his technology and his services, guess what he has to be able to do? Build relationships. He has to be able to communicate in a manner that's simple, clear, and concise. He has to be able to communicate his value, his, what he brings to the table. He's going to have to be able to listen to that company. He's going to be able to have to break down like their needs, their priorities. He's going to have to use decentralized command, working with other people. You're going to have to be able to also program that into your AI of just understanding different resources and priorities and how to like what do we focus on? So I don't think it ever goes away.
According to ChatGPT,
nice.
It agrees.
Okay.
No. AI will not make extreme ownership or the laws of combat obsolete. In fact, if anything,
it'll make them stronger.
They may become more essential in an AI-driven world. Here's the quick bullet points. Extreme ownership is about human responsibility. Mm-hmm. The laws of combat are timeless principles.
Yes. Nothing new under the sun.
Yep. And there was a network connection error. Oh, leadership is human. Yes. Decisions have to be made under pressure, and AI can find a place to fit in because technology must be tied to truth in order to be effective.
Boom. There you go.
How about that?
That's awesome.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on ChatGPT and AI? And have you guys used it yet?
Man, it's tricky, right? Because the last thing that it put, the last output from ChatGPT was that truth is necessary in order for technology to be effective. This is one of the things that's so tricky about, and I have a pastor friend of mine that we had a whole conversation about this not too long ago. There are too many ways in which people are using AI to misrepresent themselves or others that make it tricky to use in contexts about the Bible or about Scripture, because AI will fill in the gaps. And I'll give you a great example of this. We were talking to, I created an input for ChatGPT to give me an idea about how to use SEO to maximize our episode with Ethan.
Okay.
Right? Ethan's got a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of information about him online. So I'm like, you know what? I'll give this a shot, see what it comes up with. It created for me 3 quotes for the show from Ethan. The problem is it didn't have a transcript. The quotes weren't based off of anything other than what it knows about Ethan, and it presumed to put into Ethan's mouth things that Ethan might have said. And so you go back to the program, like, where did you come up with this? Oh, and then it comes up, well, people who are in weight loss journeys, these are oftentimes the things that they go through. And I was like, so this is all manufactured. And said, yes, is this not what you want? Or is this different than what you wanted? It's like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then the algorithm of the program apologizes.
That's amazing.
It's weird,
it's
though,
weird,
right? Because it's humanizing in the way that it does it. One of the reasons for that is because when the programmers humanize the program, we have more, quote, authentic interactions with it.
Yes, 100%.
The difficulty with that is, going back to the fact that we need tradesmen and all these kinds of things. One of the things that just came out in particular about AI was that the words please and thank you have created a logjam at the server level for these artificial intelligences. That if we stopped using the words please and thank you, the algorithm would continue to output the same thing. So each of these AI models we're using would give us the same information, but if we stopped using please and thank you, we would actually lower the temperature at the server centers because it's having to compute all of this extra data because we're being polite to the program. So it's a weird thing.
Okay, you want to hear something even crazier?
Please.
Along the lines of what you just said, lower the temperature, because that's a real thing.
Oh yeah, man. These server farms are creating massive spikes in temperature and affecting a lot of areas.
When I spoke in Brazil, one of the other speakers Incredible background. I talked to him about the podcast and him coming on. He said, yeah, if I'm in Dallas area, I'll let you know. And,
come on.
Because he has a company, he also owns in Austin, technology company. He invested into a company that is building and maintaining servers in space.
Unbelievable.
Think about forward thinking.
Yeah.
Because heat and energy.
Yeah, it's easier to keep something cool in the vacuum and frost-bitten space.
It's easier. They say that's what he invested into, and that's one of his big projects right now.
How bizarre. Yeah, there's a guy in the UK. So we know a friend of ours who owns a contracting business, and he's not the most technologically savvy guy.
Cool.
His brother is unbelievable with technology. Mm-hmm. And his brother is one of like a handful of people who have their doctorate in quantum mechanics and physics. Mm-hmm. They're trying to build, then see if you can wrap your head around this Christopher Nolan movie of an idea. They're trying to build server spaces and data storage in other dimensions.
I know of a guy who created digital mining platforms for cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
It's
all of like, that's what these guys are trying to do. But the reason that they're trying to do it, and the reason that so much energy is being focused, like human energy is being focused on these things, is because words like please and thank you are log jamming ChatGPT, but also because the AI models will, like any program, they'll fill in the gaps. Mm-hmm. A lot of times what we don't realize, like when we talk about how magnificent the human brain is, right, is that if we were to look at something simple like frames per second. Okay. So we shoot this podcast at 30 frames a second. So if I were to go and to, reach out my arm to grab you, what is shown on the screen is missing movements of my arm. If we were to go frame by frame, it would not look smooth. Now, it's not as dramatic as like the old stop motion things that you saw with like claymations and things like that, but it's also the reason that if we see something shot at high frame rates, that it's a little jarring for us because our brain doesn't have to fill in the gaps. It's used to it. But if I were to, just reach out and grab your arm, all of the things that happen in between my reach and what the actual frames show, our brain fills in because it knows how that movement goes, and actually lower frame rates can actually make those things more smooth in the way that they appear because our brain's filling those things in. The way that these algorithms for artificial intelligence work is that they essentially do the same thing. And that's why, just like what we've experienced when you ask somebody for details of a situation. I'm sure you guys had to do this a lot whenever you were in Ramadi and you're interviewing people around a certain area. You're trying to get information from guys back home in the debrief of, or back on base in the debrief of like, hey, what did you see? What did you experience? That there are times where some of those details tend to be a little inconsistent, or where you ask, hey, what color shirt was he wearing? And if the honest answer is I don't know, that the next time it may be blue because their brain understands, hey, that guy was wearing a shirt, and it starts to fill in what that shirt should look like based on the environment and all that stuff.
That's crazy.
Well, the AI models, because they're based off of that intelligence, they start to do the same thing, which is why it has all the disclaimers like, not all of this information is correct. You need to double check this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Getting back around to whether or not we use it in certain contexts, but I never use it, and I don't recommend anybody using it when it comes to the context of Scripture itself, because it will literally generate things that it believes that the Bible should say, or that someone should say about the Bible, that can lead you in a completely wrong direction whenever it comes to things. So it's got its uses.
I was trying to look up something. One of Amanda's friends spent a little time out with us, and we were talking through baptisms and what it means, the importance of it and everything.
Yeah.
She was raised Church of Christ, so there's some different things we're just kind of talking through, and
different system of theology there.
Yes. And so I was just playing around with ChatGPT, and I wanted some verses, and I was specific because I knew that. And I was specific. I said, I want these verses directly out of this version of the Bible.
Right.
No interpretations. And it was like, cool. And so I got it. And then I went and looked at my hard copy of my Bible, and it was it was exactly.
Yeah. And you do have to be so specific, and, moving from like one folder to the next, you've got to be really specific. But what it says, it's return. And what's interesting about that piece in particular is that that model that I plugged that question into is one that understands extreme ownership. Mm-hmm. I've had it go multiple times through. I've sent it links of Jocko's talks on extreme ownership. I've sent it links of our podcast, scouring the transcripts of it. So it knows all of the stuff about extreme ownership. It was able to articulate the laws of combat. It's also able to tell me about the dichotomy of leadership. Yeah. So that one is kind of tailored to like, hey, when we talk about this, because one of the things that AI is really useful for in our context in particular is, and I've been able to give this to some friends too, is we use a prompt that helps people create social media content. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we do is we tell, we have AI look at whether it's information that people have online, right, through scour the website, send it websites to look at, whether it's transcripts of podcasts where somebody's being interviewed, transcripts of our podcast, whatever. We take those and we put them into the AI model, and then we tell, or we ask for, we say, return for me people's biggest fears, desires, and frustrations, top 10 fears, desires, and frustrations with numbers 1 through 10 on the y-axis and fears, desires, and frustrations on the x-axis. And it'll give you a table, and you can use that for content creation. So we use that for some of the clients that come into the podcast studio. We've used it before to see like, hey, what are people looking for? Because it's going to say, what are the top 15 search things in relation to extreme ownership or on our YouTube channel or whatever. And so now we know like, hey, this is what our subscribers on YouTube are looking for. This is the kind of content that they're looking at. We've done the same thing with the First in Nutrition, the Hump Day Health Hacks that we do on Wednesday. The AI models will go and actually search the web to figure out, hey, these are the questions that people really want the answers to. That's cool. And we can figure those things out. But you have to, the human element is still there. Like, you have to know what people want. Mm-hmm. It can only tell you what they're looking for. And that's a massive thing because it can only come up with answers. It doesn't know how to ask the questions. Yeah.
And I think the more information we feed it, like, it's going to improve and get better. Yeah, and also when we know how to ask better questions. Right. And I believe that the more specific you are with it, it's going to be a good resource and tool.
100%. And that was one of the things in that article I was reading. Like, don't say please and thank you. Say return, and that word puts way less pressure on. That's cool. On the algorithm than please, because please has so many variations of interpretation. Yeah,
I used it recently, and I sent this to Josh on Monday. I said, dude, I just asked ChatGPT about a supplement I got a long time ago that was recommended to me at, I'm not going to say the name of this place. I think I might just flush it down the toilet. Check this out. WTF, man. And it was a supplement that I got. It was recommended to me, like I just said, at a supplement place, right? And it said, blah, 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 are often used for performance enhancement, fat loss, and muscle preservation, right? And that's what was told to me when I was buying it. I was like, all right, cool. While they may be popular in the fitness world, they come with a lot of health risks, which was not told to me. All right.
How often is that one caveat missed, or that qualifier?
Especially with prolonged or high dose use. Here's a breakdown, including intended effects and potential health risks. Intended effects promotes, again, intended. So, right. All right, that's the intention. Not going to always do that. Promotes lean muscle mass growth, promotes strength muscle preservation during calorie deficits, may help with joint and bone health. Health risks and side effects. Testosterone suppression. Okay. Possible liver enzyme elevation. Potential lipid profile impact. Lower HDL. Hormonal imbalance. Mood swings, reduced libido, and risk of gynecomastia. That was just one of the properties that was in it.
So that is a severe hormone imbalance.
Okay. Intended effects of the other ingredient.
Right.
Potential increased endurance and stamina. Potential promotion of fat loss. Improves metabolic efficiency. But here's the risks and the side effects. Carcinogenic concerns. Studies have showed increased cancer risk after long-term use.
Oh, great.
Again, possible liver strain. Negatively affects heart health. So, and then there's one more.
Yeah.
Okay. Possible effects, intended effects, enhanced fat burning, boost mitochondrial function and metabolic rate, might help with sleep, wake cycle regulation. Side effects, low bioavailability, so very poor absorption unless injected or highly modified. But this is a pill, so that's not going to happen, right?
But that is way more on the liver since it's pill.
And then it just says liver stress.
Yep.
Unknown impact on hormones or cholesterol with extended use. So I was just like, and then it says general considerations, liver health. All three compounds increase liver enzymes and impact hepatic function, suppresses testosterone. This one has the most serious concerns, particularly due to its cancer links and effects on the cholesterol.
Bro, that's an intense list of side effects, but so often, particularly in the supplement world, because they have that really convenient, these claims have not been investigated by the FDA, is not FDA approved or whatever, that there's so many things that make it into the shelves of supplement stores that are in such a dark gray area.
And that's what's good about the Jocko Fuel supplements, First Form supplements.
100%.
All their stuff is tested.
Yeah.
All their stuff is tested, and you can look up. So, anyways, it was like I said, it was something I had for a while. It was recommended to me. I got it, and now it makes sense why I stopped using it, because I was probably feeling horrible.
Yeah.
And I still had it, and I was like, check it out again, because, as you know, I went and got my blood work done, and wanted my testosterone levels checked and all that stuff, because I've just been feeling horrible the last few months, and wanted to get those things just checked and regulated, and go through a place that I trusted. And when I looked that up, I was like, nope, these things are going in the trash. But what I did is I filled up the bottle with water, and then shook it up, and then sealed it. I put the lid on and threw it away. Because what I didn't want to flush those pills, because I don't want that being flushed, but I also didn't want somebody was cleaning the hotel or somebody see it and be like, oh, this looks like a good supplement, I'll take it. So I ruined it and just threw it away. But crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. And what when you look at what so many of the guys who are in competitive fitness fields do is consistent blood work. Like one of the reasons, not to necessarily bring up a controversial figure, but he's a great example of this, is Lance Armstrong. Why was Lance Armstrong's cheating so obvious? Is because the guy was constantly getting blood work done. They had all of those things, and not just from the anti-doping agencies, but also because they needed to make sure that whatever they're putting into their bodies is actually helpful. Right? If you really want to know the effects of prolonged use of the carnivore diet, it's not just going to come from how you feel. It's going to come from consistent blood work to see whether or not it's giving you, whether or not your body is responding in the way that you want it to. Because for some people it works great, and for other people it doesn't, right? And so much of that is dependent upon genetics. But yeah, so talk a little bit more about like the blood work that you've got done and what you guys are doing kind of in like response to that. There's
two gentlemen that Johnny and Nick, they train at Double Five. I met Johnny first. They're really good friends with Ryan Kramer, who's a part of the Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu ministry and the podcast as well. One of our black belts at Double Five. And so in January, Ryan just was on Instagram, and it popped up that there was this new clinic in Flower Mound. So he went to go get his blood work done and just kind of see what services they had to offer. And then I don't know what day of the week it was that he was talking to him, but he was just, they asked him, they're like, hey, you're a pretty fit pretty fit in shape guy in your 40s. Like, what do you do? Well, he's like, I work out every day in the morning, but I also train jiu-jitsu. That's a big thing. And they're like, oh, really? Like jiu-jitsu? Like
sometimes I'll just run 10 miles on a weekend.
Yeah, I wanted like to get into jiu-jitsu. And so he starts talking about Double Five, and he's like, hey, literally the best gym in DFW area is just right down the street from y'all. Yeah. And he goes, we also have this ministry that's, kind of based out of Double Five, Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu. And I guess both of them, again, this is secondhand knowledge. Now, Johnny and Nick are going to come on the podcast and share this. But from what Ryan was telling me and from what I heard, and again, I might have heard this wrong, but from what I heard, Johnny and Nick were both like, oh, we both, been wanting to get closer with the Lord. So you're telling me there's jiu-jitsu and Jesus involved? Like, I'm in. So they went that Thursday morning because the morning classes are best for their families and their work schedules. And so they went to that Thursday morning class, and they've been to every Tuesday, Thursday class since then, since January.
Oh, wow.
So they're training hard, and these guys are awesome. You have not. I know this. And so I meet Johnny one day, and Formiga introduces him to me, and we're talking. He's telling him about his clinic. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And this was like a few months ago. Mm-hmm. And I wish I would have gotten up there, but it was around the time that I had, hit my head, had the concussion, had all those health issues that was going on. Yeah. And, so I've been on TRT since I was 30, so 12 years. I was, and my prescription ran out and forgot to re-up it, and just when you're off of testosterone and then all the health issues I was having, a lot of brain fog, hard time focusing, just...
Was it messing with your sleep?
Oh, majorly.
Okay.
Majorly. So the concussion was messing with my sleep, and then all of a sudden now I'm not on TRT anymore, messing with my sleep. And so, I was in and out of the emergency room a few times, VA hospital, just trying to figure out what was going on. Amanda and I were trying to figure everything out, and I kept asking them, like when we were doing the blood work, like, hey, can you tell me what my total and free test levels are? Because it's really important that I make sure those things are where they're at. And I was taking, other natural testosterone boosters, the stuff from Jocko Fuel, and I was just like double, tripling it up to try to like just get through the days. But my system is just so trashed. That me just taking the test booster from Jocko Fuel doesn't really have an effect on me. So I have to take double if triple, and it just has a minimal effect that gets me through the day. Yeah. And I knew that, and I was
it can kind of work as a blocker
struggling.
A little bit,
I was struggling and just exhausted and just all these things that was going on. And so I was with my daughters, and they had their friends, and they wanted to go to Target, and I'm like, all right, cool, drop them off at Target in the one in Flower Mound area, Highlands Village, and they wanted to like be able to walk around there, just the four of them, just kind of hanging out. I'm like, all right, and I was like, what, I have time, let me go by the clinic and just let me go say hi to those guys. It would be good to just go say hi and see the place, and just try to support the business. So I went in there, started talking, I asked some questions, and it was really cool because Johnny was like, hey, Mason's going to take care of you. Like immediate, like he's the owner, but he goes, boom, Mason's the guy. And they have this I say kid because he's much younger than me working there, but he's a neuroscientist like Andrew Huberman. Same degree, same studies, all those things. Dang. Kid is extremely intelligent that works there for all their hormone stuff. And I mean, so it's Relive Health in Flower Mound. They are an incredible clinic. Aesthetically, you walk in, you're like, dude, this place is beautiful. Mm-hmm. And they have all these different services. And so I was sitting there talking about, just kind of where I was at, how I was feeling, how I have to be on TRT, how I've taken TRT and peptides. I'm a big fan of peptides. I've been in the peptide game like well before it was like a known thing on social media. And had all, one of my buddies was really smart into that stuff as well, had a similar background as this guy Mason, and told me the benefits of peptides, and I've taken peptides with injuries, and it's helped me recovery, all those things. There's nobody that can convince me that peptides are not beneficial. There's not one person, right? And because I've seen the actual benefits of healing, recovery, speeding up recovery time after surgeries, getting rid of, I've had, hernias that I've had, like BPC 157, TB 500, taking that blend together has like healed like hernias that I had. I had like a hernia that was causing really bad, like a hiatal hernia, I believe, where it was causing really bad acid reflux, indigestion, hiccuping. Like I couldn't stop hiccuping, and I was going to have surgery. Started taking BPC 157 and TB 500, and it was gone in 2 days. So you can't tell me peptides don't work.
Yeah.
Tore my hamstring. Like we were doing sprints. Pastor Tyra and a bunch of the guys in the gym, they heard it happen. They saw it happen. I just doubled up on my dose of peptides straight into that tear. Less than 2 weeks later, was able to be running again, training again, everything. Wow. To the point where, like, if I'm sitting down in this chair, like that tear on my hamstring, like it would hurt to sit in the chair. Gone. Less than 2 weeks. So I know they're beneficial. Amanda had surgery. As soon as she got out of surgery, I brought the peptides with me to the hospital, injected her with that blend as well, and within 2 days, she was off of all of her painkillers and was just taking Tylenol arthritis after a major surgery that she was told, hey, you can't lift anything over 10 pounds for 8 weeks. So, I mean, peptides work.
Yeah.
So I know the benefits of it. So I'm talking with this kid, Mason. I should say young man, to be respectful. This young man, Mason.
Right.
And he, started talking about it. And he was like, so do you want to get your blood work done to kind of see where we're at? And I was like, yeah. And so, like, right then, they're like, hey, let's do it. It doesn't take long. We do the blood work. We talk through some stuff. I got an IV while I was there, which was awesome. They do ozone treatment as well, where they like take your blood out. So it goes into like similar to an IV bag. It's a like a gravity draw. So like as if you're getting injected with an IV, but instead of it being hung up, it goes down on the floor and it draws your blood out. And then they mix like, I think they said like O3 in there. So it's like, and so then they hang it back up and it goes back in. So it's just circulating, getting more oxygen into your blood.
Wow.
Feels so good, bro. Dude, I'm telling you, man, like legitimate, like difference of just like, ooh, nice. And the panels that they do at Relive Health are unreal. The most thorough blood panel I've ever had. And that's why I was so frustrated, because Amanda and I were telling the hospitals and the doctors, like, hey, I need a thorough blood panel. Like, I want, and as you know, my frustrations, they kept telling me, like, everything's fine. Blood work's good. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way my blood work is good. I know how I feel. I know something's not right. And it just sucks that, like, doctors were not doing what they should have been doing and not actually listening to some of the input of their patient.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, cool. Well, then I'm going to go to this clinic. And they did it. And they were awesome. They asked a lot of good questions. He's sitting there listening, taking notes. And I'm like, all right, if you're like listening and taking notes while we're talking, you're in the game.
Yeah.
And it also showed me that he cared about what I had going on. He was listening. He was being respectful. I mean, he could have been drawing stick figures for all I know and just knew he could memorize it all. But I'm telling you, man, the fact that I saw him
being engaged and
intentional with our conversation was absolutely, just for me, a game changer. And I think that's how businesses should all run. But I digress. So we get the blood work done, talk through it. We schedule. They're like, hey, you can come in person to review it, or we can do it over the phone. I said, hey, with my schedule, over the phone is going to be best. Josh Strasburger just went and got his blood work done as well. My dad did. Amanda did. Like, just it's good to know where you're at.
Yeah.
And Josh just went and had his in-person consultation today. And so I had mine over the phone. And the doctor that they do it with, like, I mean, she's unreal. How smart she is. I mean, we went through everything line by line.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get in the details of all my stuff, but it was it was concerning, but also just awesome to know where I was at, because it's like, cool. Amanda and I both knew that something was wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like, we both knew, like, something was really off. And now we know. So low testosterone for males is, anywhere between 300 to 500. Like, that's, they would talk like, hey, if your total test is between 3 to 5, that's considered low for guys.
Yeah.
5 to 700, 800, that's good. 800 to 1200, that's high, but that's good. Like a healthy high. Like anything over 1200, like, you might not want to.
Lay off the trend.
Well, no, that would be, no, not trend. But if you're over 1200, longevity is not going to be ideal for you. But also, if you're younger, you could run at a higher level. I'm freaking 42, and that's what I told him. I'm like, I'm 42. I'm not trying to be like over 1200. I lived those years. Like, trust me, when I was in my early 20s in the SEAL teams, I'm sure my levels were close to 2000 naturally. Like, I've always run high. But I was just kind of talking about where I wanted to be, and she was like, just kind of going back and forth with me on different stuff. And like I said, it was a very thorough blood panel. Like, and the results were not just testosterone related, like gave me a really good insight of other things I need to be mindful of diet wise, supplement wise, like, but it was, we were getting towards the end. She goes, I'm not going to, she's like, I don't know how you're out of bed for this call with how trashed and tanked your levels are. She goes, you know what, you might actually be in bed for this call. I'm like, no, I'm out of bed. I've been up for a couple hours working and doing stuff. And she knew my travel schedule and everything. She goes, I don't know how you've been functioning and doing what you've been doing. And I told her, I was like, well, I don't have any other options. I have a wife and kids. I have a family. I have a job. I have a career. Right. But it was cool because as I've talked to other people, I've been able to share this little testimony of like, I've every day been praying to God just for energy, focus, the ability to get through the day, the really hard days where like, that depression kicks in when your levels are low, and just the inability to focus and brain fog and irritability. And irritability comes from low testosterone, not high testosterone, low testosterone and estrogen levels being out of whack. And when guys take too much testosterone and not an estrogen blocker, or their estrogen levels are too high, like that causes those things. And so I was having all of these things and just really bad headaches and just like, it was tanked. And I get down to the number and I'm like, oh. So Amanda had come into the office about that time and, she knew I was doing the review. I'm like, hey, what do you think my levels are? And she's like, she knew my levels at one point, were 81. And when I've told that to people before, they're like, dude, that's what?
Yeah, it's way low.
And I told her, Amanda just like, it's just like looking at me with her mouth open, like, what? My total test was 28. And when I text this to Brent Casigulo, he goes, as in 27 plus 1? You're not missing a 0?
Yeah.
Because even 280 would be low.
Yeah.
Like 280, like
280 is like, bro, get on.
You need to be on,
you
so.
need to think about this, yeah.
Yeah. So 28.
Wow.
My free test, which the range is 4.3 to 23, and you can be over 23 for sure, and there's no negative for that.
Yeah.
But 4.3 is really low. Mine was 0.8.
Good grief.
So that's a lot. That's a lot of things going on. And what was cool about Relive Health is the doctor they work with, she is incredible, very thorough, very empathetic, asks a lot of questions. Where do you want to be? And they have the option, which is cool, is like they can ship it to you. If you're comfortable with taking your shots, they can just ship everything to you. Everything's like mixed, ready to go. The peptides, you don't have to reconstitute them yourself. Like they're already pre-mixed. They come in like a bunch of like ice packs around it, so it's cold. So you just put it straight into your fridge. Dude, it's awesome. And I was like, no, I'm good I can do my shots on my own. And because I travel, I was like, plus I don't want to be going up to the clinic and doing one shot a week. And they're like, yeah, we don't recommend that. And so there's a lot of clinics that just do once a week. And most guys, like every Monday, they go get their shot. The problem is that you're getting that full dose at once. So therefore, you also have to take estrogen blockers to reduce the negative impact of that. And so, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're feeling really good. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're dropping down. And so they offer hey, you can come in the clinic and do your shots twice a week or 3 times a week, or we can send it to you. And I said, well, I want to do my shot every other day. And if you do your shot every other day, you don't have to take estrogen blockers because there's not a high dose of that. You can also do your testosterone daily, and you could do into the muscle or sub-Q if you wanted. The body's going to absorb it either way. So I've done the everyday. You feel amazing every day. I've done the every other day. To me, there was no noticeable difference, so I'll just do every other day. So there, she said, and it was awesome. She was like, man, I don't want to put you on a dose and you're between 300 to 500, and then we do your blood work and we have to get you back up. She's like, we know where we want you. She's like, I would like you to be, between 600 to 800, and then we'll make adjustments as needed. If you want to maintain, cool. If you want to go a little bit higher, we can make that adjustment. If you want to drop down, you can, whatever. And I kind of laughed to myself. I'm like, I ain't dropping down. Come on now. But it was a really cool experience with Relive Health. And the doctor they use, like I said, she is absolutely incredible. And the cool thing is, as soon as I got done with that consultation, the clinic called me to review all of her recommendations, and then they say, based off the recommendations, what do you want to do? And then you just go over pricing and everything. And so I was able to get my prescription of testosterone, and then I take a shot 3 times a week for my liver, because there's some concerns with my liver and kidney, which I've known I've had issues with those for
a while now. I
mean, when I was in the SEAL teams, I was having those issues. So it'll be good to be on something that'll help with that. And then they prescribed me TB500 BPC 157 blend. And so it's blended together. Take the shot every day. And then I do my testosterone. I do 0.25 4 times a week. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like
I'm ready to start feeling like yourself again?
Yeah, it'll be about so I did my first shot yesterday.
Yeah.
I was so fired up. Like, Amanda and I were at lunch with Pastor Chris and his wife, Wendy. And I got the notification that I'd been delivered. And then all of a sudden, Aiden, because Aiden knew to be looking out for it, because I didn't want to sit out in the sun.
Oh, yeah.
But even if it had, like I said, it's
all packed up. You're good.
Packed up, like it would have been good. And Aiden's so funny, dude. He sends a picture of it. He goes, "You want me to open it and put it in the fridge?" Or I was like, "No, you can just put it on the bed. It'll be fine. Cool." And he goes, "You ready to get back to feeling like a man?"
It's awesome.
I was like, "Yeah,
only your son, right?"
I'm like, "Yes, I am." And then I get home, and he was just like, Aiden. Anybody that's ever met Aiden for more than 30 seconds, you just know how good of a kid he is, and a young man, right? Not a kid, a young man. And he was just like, doing some chant, like some anti-low T chant in the kitchen.
What a psycho.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So
that's good, man.
Yeah, it's good, man. I'm excited. Like, I'm really excited to just
feel good again.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of the...
So it's going to take a couple weeks, I think, before, like, I feel it, but, bro.
Well, you described your interaction with the doc, and this is something that...
I have something funny to share after this. Yeah. Remind me.
Well, go with that, because I've got a...
okay, so yesterday, like, Aiden's, like, doing his whole thing. It's just pure, comedy. And then the girls knew, too. Like, when I got my results, I was talking about it with my aunt and my parents, and because my aunt was in town visiting. My mom had surgery recently, and she was helping take care of my mom. My aunt was a nurse for, like, 30-plus years, and we're talking through it. My aunt's like, "Dude, that's insane." And then she sent me some links about how low T is 100% related to my service, and how that's actually going to be something I can add to my VA disability claim, which is going to be great, But Amanda, like, what was it? Oh, we were at lunch, and the night before, we're laying in bed just talking or whatever about, and she's like, "He shows up tomorrow." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, I am going to give you your injection right away. And she goes, "And then when you're sleeping, you might get another few injections, like, without you knowing." And so,
attitude adjustment injections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was in the kitchen, and, like, I gave her a hug or whatever, and we were just kind of sitting there, and she, like, gives me a kiss, and I kiss her back, and she goes, "Uh-oh, am I getting, like, all 28 of those right now? Like, stand by." And I was like, "Just wait until there's 800. She goes, "Good Lord." Like, so yeah, that's awesome. It's going to be awesome. And, reason why I was sharing this is I've been pretty open with my health, and I've always been open about my use of TRT and my, being prescribed TRT and peptides and how I think they're great. And, man, if you're in the area, like, you should swing by Relive Health. And there's a lot of Relive Healths, like, across the nation. And I know Johnny and his partner, I'm not going to say the areas, but they bought the rights for a lot of areas around here.
Oh, cool.
As well.
Smart move.
So it'll be cool for them to grow and expand their business. And this is for men and women. Like I said, Amanda went and got tested.
Yeah.
My aunt, I was talking to her. She's like, when I come back in town to visit, she's like, I'm going to go there and get my blood work
hopefully
done.
We'll get your uncle on whenever that happens.
Yeah, I want to get my uncle on, want to get my aunt on.
Yeah.
Both of them had amazing careers in the military, and it'd be really cool to get both of their stories. But my aunt literally wants to come back and get her blood work done with them because of the experience I had and how thorough they were.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that I've struggled with over the years, and this is something with young kids that Kirsten and I have had to work through.
Yeah.
Is my height to weight ratio has always been, and I'm sure you've had similar experiences. Like, I had a doctor come in when I was, I don't know, probably 19, 20, and had really gotten into weightlifting. That was, kind of telling me, hey, be careful, and, just really pay attention to your body, and all that was great. Fast forward 10 years, now I'm 29, and I'm weighing like 195. I'm 5'8" most of the time. Depending on whether or not I'm slouching or whether or not I'm wearing my my Origin boots. Yeah. They'll add an inch or two, but yeah. So that's kind of where I sit. Well, I had a doctor come in, and I'm in pretty good shape at the time. Like, I'm not, under 10% body fat, but I'm in decent shape. He comes in and he starts kind of giving me the, hey, you need to watch your weight, people that your weight, and, obesity, and we really need to yada, yada, yada. And he starts going over all of the dangers that my body presents to me before he looks up. And when he finally looks up from the sheet of paper he's looking at, he's like, oh, never mind. You're fine. Like, and as a pastor, one of the things that we really have to advocate for especially with seniors, is like reminding them that they have a voice. I was talking to a guy today, and his wife is having some cardiac issues, and so the cardiologist has an NP that's working with him, and then the NP comes in, and she's talking to him, and she's like, well, we ought to consider an implant, and she goes on, and this guy looks at the young lady, and he goes, have you read my wife's chart? And she's like, yes, I'm very familiar with your wife's chart. And he's like, okay, well, she's had an implant for 3 years. So like, right. So there are these things that, unless we're asking the right questions, and now especially that we've got kids, it's one of those conversations that Kirsten and I are having a lot, because, and this is not like the do you, don't you with vaccine stuff, but there are certain things where we've got to advocate for our child. And when somebody is saying like, no, they're doing this because of this, we're like, no, like there's no allergy involved here. Like, this isn't that. And like, well, if we give them this shot, then it'll help them. And I'm like, well, do we have to give them a shot? Right? Or is this just like seasonal allergies that they'll learn to grow past? Like, what are those things? Like, maybe my kid doesn't need prednisone at 3 years old. Maybe that's the case that, he's got a cold, it's allergies, and it doesn't need to be fixed immediately. Like, he just needs to learn how to blow his nose, and we're going to suffer through this and just do it, right? So, but you don't get to that point unless you learn to advocate for it. If you have a doctor, though, that's sitting there taking notes and asking you the questions, man, the confidence that gives you in your relationship. And I've only had it happen once. And luckily for me, the time when that happened was there was a nurse practitioner I was seeing. Her name's Kelly Bennett. She's phenomenal. And she's the one that asked me the right questions right before I got my double mastectomy. And if it wasn't for her, then we would have never like traced it back to anything. It probably would have been in some type of tissue anomaly. I would not have ended up going to a breast surgeon where we can have things properly biopsied and continually monitored and those types of things, because I've had to have one lumpectomy since then. Will probably sometime towards the end of this year have to have a second on my left side, which will be the double mastectomy and then 2 lumpectomies on that left side, is we're like monitoring this tissue growth over time. It had been dismissed by so many others that when I finally found a doc that was asking me questions, that was willing to work with me, that was wanting to get the blood panels done, where she was like, no, this is not like just a simple issue. The amount of confidence that gives you that you are getting good care is so high. But if that's not happening, you've got to start advocating for yourself and asking questions. Like at the end of the day, your health providers work with and for you. Not the other way around.
And that's what makes me so happy about my sister being a doctor now.
Oh yeah.
Because that's who she is. Oh, hold on. Let's talk about what's your diet like?
Yeah.
What's your lifestyle like? Like, let's talk about those things first.
Yeah. Are you lactose intolerant and having ice cream every night for dinner? Like one of my roommates in Canada that was like, I feel sick all the time. It's like, why are you eating ice cream? I love it. You know you can't do that. It's like, well, I'm not going to stop. Well, then stop telling me that you got bubble guts.
So then don't complain.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't complain about not feeling good.
You're literally doing it to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what, and I can't wait to have my sister on the podcast. I know we were going to try to have her on a few weeks ago when she was out here, but prioritize family time with my parents and her family. Oh, she's here. And
yeah, that video of her surprising your dad was so cool. So that was the first time he'd got to see her in how long? Like a couple
5 years.
Wow.
5 years.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So I love that video.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait to have my sister on here just to talk about her story and all the incredible things that she's done. But yeah, that's what's like awesome about having good doctors like my sister who are going to sit down, listen,
Yep.
ask questions, take notes, go back and forth with you. I'm going to be switching to a different VA clinic that Mike Mitchell and Brian Culver talked about. Mm-hmm. And they both go to it. And it's a little bit of a farther drive, but I'm okay with it because they said, like, the primary care doctor there, that's what she starts off with.
Yep.
Like, what's your diet like? What's your lifestyle like? Like, ask you all these things, reviews all your stuff, and then starts from there.
Level of care is such an important thing that's undervalued. And, one of the things that I bring up to people pretty often is their dogs, like their pets. Because we tend to take better care of things we're responsible for than we do ourselves. And so...
Isn't it crazy some people feed their dogs better than their kids?
100%.
I said it.
Yeah, 100%. And the majority of, I forget where this statistic came from, and so I'm going to butcher it, but the crux of it was that the majority of single people that have pets, their pets will eat better than they do because they're responsible for their pet, and they don't feel like they're responsible for themselves.
Well, that's crazy. Is like, I know there are people that will... like they want to make sure that the ingredients in their dog food is going to be good for their dogs, yet they have a pantry full of Doritos and processed foods that their kids have free reign to.
Yeah, but organic, everything for the dog's organic or comes from the butcher shop. Yeah, it's a wild thing. But in relation to like what we've been talking about, not just on the nutrition side of things, but also, there have been times when we've taken the dog in to get a shot, and they're like, all right, well, he's got to get up to date on his rabies shot. And you're like, yep, cool. And they come back and it's a $650 bill. And we're like, what the heck did you give the dog? Like, oh, well, he needed this one and this one and this one and this and this. And like, we didn't talk about any of that. Right. And yet we get to this point. And so many times in the last few years, like particularly, it started right before Levi was born, because he was born 9 weeks early. So once people knew that we were going into the NICU, this became a big part of the conversations we were having with other parents of like, just ask your doctor what your kid is getting, right? Because you'll come back, like you gave permission for this, and then they'll come back and here's the 10 things that they got. And start doing it for yourself. Because when I went in several years ago, we were driving in. My brother had some farmland, and so we're driving T-posts in, and he's got like this area of his farm that's nearly limestone after about 8 inches down.
Sweet.
Yeah, and he's got these 8-foot T-posts, and so I'm standing on top of a stump driving a T-post down, and I break through the limestone. Well, I don't realize that that's what I've done. And so when I pull the post hole digger up, it goes higher than what I thought it was going to, and it rotates back in my hand and it smacks me on top of the head. So I am like the Trevi fountain of just blood gushing everywhere. Kirsten and I are not married yet, but I come out and I've got blood all over my face, and I've got long hair and a long beard at the time, so everything's just like makes it look matted. Even, I look like I'm
WWE.
Yeah, like right off of Ragnarok, right? So we're talking. We're like, all right, I'm going to the emergency room. I got to get some staples in my head, and we're talking, and the doctor's like, all right, I'm going to give you tetanus, and then the nurse comes in. She's like, all right, and she's got like 5 syringes. I'm like, what is that? And she's like, well, okay, this is tetanus. This is this. I'm like, no. I don't need any of this other stuff. She's like, well, that's what the doctor recommended because they didn't see it in your shot records. Cool, right? Like I promise you, I've been through all my Hep C stuff, and like all of these things like are fine. He didn't see him in there, and so they got recommended. And a friend of mine was like, I was telling her about one of the shots they were trying to give me, and I don't remember what it was. And she's like, yeah, that's basically like a glorified saline, is what they were about to just to give you. Well, all right, so The people at the urgent care saw a guy that was going to get staples. I wasn't asking a lot of questions, pretty concussed. But if not for the couple that I did ask, of like, hey, well, you got 4 syringes over there when all I need is tetanus and staples, then that's it. And so many people don't ask questions, and it has incredible adverse effects on not just on their immediate health because of how all this other stuff, but also on your wallet because you're getting this. And then at the end of the day, like, you don't really know what you got, what your animal got, what the care was, because we just don't have the confidence to ask the questions, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All that to say, the Relive people sounds like they're doing it the right way.
Oh, they're absolutely doing it the right way. My sister's doing it the right way. My aunt did it the right way for years. And I'm just, it's the other thing. It's like, then it just makes you so thankful for the good doctors and nurses out there that really, really care. They care about doing their jobs. And it's great when you can find those good doctors and those good nurses. It's like good teachers, right? Yeah. There's good teachers, there's bad teachers. There's good jiu-jitsu instructors, there's bad jiu-jitsu instructors. There's good Navy SEALs, there's bad Navy SEALs. There's good pastors, there's bad pastors. So, all right, you want to close it out?
Yeah, man, let's do that. Thank you guys for listening. This has been a different venture of an episode for us, as we had some health stuff and some soapboxing. But if you like this or the other things you've seen and heard on our podcast, make sure that you click the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, and you should be. If you are on,
it helps us out.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of those platforms, you can subscribe as well, and we would appreciate it. Leave us a review. It helps the show to get just promoted and ranked, and also tell your friend about it, because the number one way that our show grows is through word of mouth, and one of those word of mouths has been through the fabulous people over at First In Nutrition. Big thanks to Jonathan and Ann Montgomery for everything they're doing over at First In, and one of the things they're doing for you, our listener, is if you go to firstinnutrition.com/jppod, they will give you 4 free weeks of nutrition coaching from the people who are the best in the game. If you want to follow them, you can do it at First In Nutrition on Instagram. You want to join the conversation with us, you can check out the @JP Dinnell podcast on Instagram. I'm at Lucas Pinker. JP is at JP Dinnell. And the folks that have kind of made all of this possible are the people over at Echelon Front. We talked at the beginning of the episode about whether or not AI would ever make extreme ownership or the laws of combat obsolete. It told us that it couldn't. And if you want to learn more about this stuff, go over to echelonfront.com. Check out the book Extreme Ownership, Dichotomy of Leadership. Go look at the stuff that Jocko, Leif and Jamie with their new Lead Win podcast, the stuff that they're putting out. Dave Burke's got a book that's coming out here in a few months, which I'm really stoked about, with a nice the hot red cover on it, which is pretty sweet. Is it orange?
As in Afterburner Orange?
R.I.P. Afterburner Orange. Hello, regular orange. That's one of the ones, aside, that's one of those names that I felt like we could have kept. Right?
I agree.
Yeah, but we made the decisions that we made for the right reasons.
Getting rid of Sour Apple Sniper made sense.
It did. It hurt.
I think they could have also kept Mango Madness.
Yeah, Mango Madness.
Getting rid of Pink Mist made sense also.
Yeah, Whoop Citrus, Assault, probably.
Yeah, Citrus Psycho.
Yeah, I could see that both ways. Like that could have been the edgier drink, right? You put that one next to the people who are drinking the Monster.
I agree. I think Afterburner
Orange is so cool. And we say all that because all these people are instructors over at Echelon Front. They all teach on the Extreme Ownership Academy. If you want to be a part of that, you can check out not just the courses that are available online, but the call that happens Mondays at 1 o'clock Central Time, which is a huge value add. And some of the other guests that have been on the show, Rob Jones, Cody Gandy, Danny Ziem, people like that will hop on there periodically as well to give great information. We talked a little bit about Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu. You can go check it out at JesusandJiu-Jitsu_USA. It's a ministry that we're both part of. We do seminars throughout the year where we bring a high-level Jiu-Jitsu instructor out to give a free seminar. And then on top of that, have somebody share their testimony. We've got discipleship material now that's coming out. We're going to be making appearances at Jiu-Jitsu Con. Last weekend, we had the Rollathon, which was great. And so make sure that you sign up for our email list over at JesusandJiu-JitsuUSA.com so that you can figure out ways that you can be involved in stuff in the future. What was your experience like at the Rollathon? Did you have a blast?
And I was working at FTX.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
All day. Awesome. Josh and I missed it because of the FTX. But
bummer.
Also, a large majority of the Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu crew will be at Origin Immersion Camp.
Oh yeah, that's
and
true.
Isaac's
Coming up in August.
Isaac is also, I believe, bringing the discipleship books.
Is he really?
To
That's
camp.
super cool.
So, yeah, it's gonna be good.
I'm stoked
There's
about that.
There's a big double 5 presence coming this year.
Yeah.
We'll have to get you there next year.
Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll get that. No, I won't. It's not gonna.
Yeah, no, you're not going to get
Nope.
your blue belt before then.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
you could.
I
mean, you could if you just started training once a week.
This is such a ridiculous
Which is not-
hypothetical. Once,
no.
You think once a week I can get my blue belt in a year?
Yes, absolutely.
I think
You've already had your white belt
Here's
for
the
a
thing.
while.
I think your desires and my capabilities
No.
for me. This is where desires
Okay,
and
maybe.
capabilities. are
Yeah,
two
yeah,
different
maybe.
things.
But you're telling me that
I'm not gonna tell
between
you. I'm
no,
just
you're
gonna
going to talk.
verify.
Yeah,
Yep.
between I will attack you on this episode. Between now, people are tuning into YouTube.
Yeah, this is it.
You're telling me that between the access that you have because you're a member of Double 5 in Highlands Village, which also gives you access to train at Jiu-Jitsu Tech.
Okay.
Not to mention all
I'm
the other
following.
gyms, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
the 2 gyms closest to me. You're telling me that you could not make it to at least one class a week, knowing that.
No. I'm not telling you that I couldn't make it to one class a week. I am telling you that my belief is if I made it to one class a week, I still don't think my skill level would be high enough to be
Okay. Do you
to
want?
be built
Okay.
up in a year.
All right. What type of a commitment / bet do you want to make?
Zero.
Yeah, no, we're going to make
this.
We're actually going to make this.
Okay,
So
we will
you
check out
commit-
episode 100, and we will reveal
no,
what
hold on.
our.
No, we're gonna talk about
our
it right
thing is.
now.
Well, we're teasing it.
it's okay. Well,
This is an industry thing. This is what people do in order to get them to tune into later episodes.
no.
No.
We're going to address this right now. You commit
Okay.
between the commitment. I'm sorry, between the relationships that you have with Double 5 and
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu Tech.
Yep.
Which means Formiga, Brent, Kramer, Isaac, and myself,
Yes.
right? And there's a few other that are training regularly, but I'm
Right.
saying those guys that you have a direct relationship with, you communicate with a lot with. And also the fact that now Double 5 has morning classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning.
I've heard about this.
And Isaac is teaching the Wednesday morning class. Okay, so you have
Yep.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 6:30 in the morning. You have all the noon classes Monday through Friday that
Yep.
you can go to. You have the Monday through Thursday night classes that you could make it to.
Yeah,
Those are
maybe.
harder. No, I'm
Yeah.
just saying those are harder. But if you were just like, oh crap, I got to get at least one in this week, you could
Yeah.
probably do like a Monday night.
Yeah.
To start off the week. And then the Saturday open mat. And then the Sunday open mat at Jiu-Jitsu Tech.
I mean, there are a lot of classes available, and
A
you guys should go
lot.
check out all of those schools because they're
Yeah.
awesome. Now, JP is
I'm just
also
saying,
part of a
because
Texas
you're-
Beef.
So you do at least one class per week between
Yeah.
now and next year this time.
Yeah, I don't. My personal belief is that even if I did that, right, and I'm not saying that I'm not going to shoot for that as a goal.
Okay,
right?
if you do that, if you
I
do
don't think
one, if
I
you
would
average
have
one
the skill
class a week,
level.
which means
Yeah.
if you miss this week, you go get 2 classes next week.
Okay.
I'm not even saying 2 classes a week. I'm saying 1 class.
Yeah.
Okay. And part of me wants to say 1.5 class a week average so that sometimes you do 2 and then you go back and forth. Well, let's just say 1. If you can average 1 class a week
I'll
between
take a half a
now
class.
and next year
Yeah.
and you don't get your blue belt, I'll pay you $1,000.
Oh well, then I'm just gonna have him delay my blue belt.
He won't do it.
Who is he?
Formiga will not delay your blue belt.
I just won't show up to stuff. I mean, he delayed. Did he? So, legitimate question that has nothing to do with this. Did Formiga delay your brown based off of your request, or was that something that?
No, because I didn't have the time on the mat. I had
Okay.
the time in years, but not the time on mats.
Okay, but
Right.
like from a skill level standpoint, because this is the other question that I've because I don't know. Obviously, I know
Yeah.
nothing about ranking up with belts. Did he feel like you were there and that he wanted you to have more mat time before?
Yeah, and
That
I
was
was
there?
going to compete,
Okay.
and so that comes into play.
Yeah.
But okay,
Oh, yeah.
between
Okay.
now and the end of immersion camp next year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that you are overestimating my abilities here, but there's no risk in that for me.
There's none.
Yeah, 100%.
You just commit to 1 per week,
one per week.
and then go to camp. And by the end of camp next year,
Yep. I'll
if-
just check in on my 52 classes, and then after that, I'll get myself a really nice Origin gi, and then take Kirsten to a nice dinner.
You do whatever you want with that money that I won't be paying you because you'll have your blue belt.
Stripe. I guarantee.
Yeah, we don't do stripes at double five.
that felt like an easy.
Let's close it out.
JP's also part of a Texas beef company, Little Cattle Co.
Yeah, dog, get that beef.
You can check it out. Little Cattle.
I need to switch that up to get that beef tallow.
Get that beef tallow.
Because we don't have
get that beef sticks.
We have a few beef sticks left and a few things of steak, but it's a beef tallow company.
Yeah. So check out the beef tallow, the body butter, the lip balm, the anti-itch cream, after sun care, all of that stuff, as well as the invigorating tallow body scrub that does help increase circulation to the scalp. I'll just say that it does do that. I watched a doctor talk about it. So, JP and Josh are part of an apparel printing company called On the Path Printing. You can check them out at On the Path. JP, Leif, and Jocko have a company called Bruiser Arms. If you want some custom gear packages so that you can have the stuff that the guys had whenever they were deployed, if you want the same dudes training you that put it to work in the battlefield, go check them out at Bruiser Arms. And as always, the people who are consistently embarrassed by my talking about their products and my lack of jiu-jitsu knowledge is the folks over at Origin and Jocko Fuel. So thanks very much for all of their support, because they do keep us fueled. There you go. Then and the supplements that we were talking about early on in this episode, stuff like Combat Tested 2.0, your stuff like Joint Warfare, krill oil, those kind of things that do, even when we're not feeling great, they keep us in the game, keep us able to do the things that we're doing. A little bit of what is it, Cold War, right? If you're battling that stuff.
The sleep aid.
I was going to say the sleep aid is good, and they've got just the magnesium right now that, man, hey, you know what, you're feeling stiff. Also, so this is a weird thing. We've talked at length about creatine. Creatine is something that everybody needs to be on. But one of the things that recently our friend who's a gastroentomologist, I think, big question mark at the end of that name, he said one of the things that'll help with acid reflux and stuff like that as you get older, he's like, just take magnesium. Yeah. Because it actually relaxes a lot of the muscles and stuff in your throat, because those closing up and clamping down, that tension there is actually one of the things that can actually cause your system with acid reflux and stuff like that to actually be worse and exacerbate the issue. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So the magnesium, awesome stuff. Use code JPPOD20 to save yourself 20% on everything over at JockoFuel.com. And the folks over at Origin, Pete and Amanda Roberts, they're just killing it and doing just some of the best. They've definitely got the best stuff that's out there. Dennis taking over the BJJ stuff has been super cool. The Rift 2.0 is back out there, and there's some new stuff that's coming out that I've gotten some sneak peeks on. That's awesome. That's going to be super cool. So check it all out. JP, wrap us up with some final thoughts and get rid of my nonsense.
I know we had a lot of fun on this episode. Was, as Lucas said, not the normal episode, but I mean, if you're to take anything from this episode, I mean, at the end of the day, it's on you to take ownership over your health, take ownership over the relationships in your life. I mean, AI is a great tool, but it's not going to replace human interaction. And I love that quote that you shared about the truth being necessary for leadership. Yeah. And that's on you to tell the truth, to do the right things for the right reasons. And, I'll circle back again. Take ownership over your health. It is on you 100% to take ownership over those things. Knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge allows you to do powerful things. So in order for you to take ownership, you also need to be educating yourself, seeking knowledge, information, and then figure out what you're going to do with that. So I hope this episode has been a reminder to go do the work that is needed, to put in the effort, to build your legacy, and to never settle. This has been the JP Dinnell Podcast, episode 97.